Good day, folks. Today's topic is actually it was posed from one of my YouTube folks. Sent me a private email, and he was asking what is the sweet spot for a grass-based operation, or what would be the minimum acreage that somebody could use to actually kind of replicate what we're doing here. Um, well, right now I'm actually mowing the yard, but I might I might say the cattle are mowing the yard. I'm sitting here taking it easy, watching the bulls actually chase around cows and get some of our cows bred. But the and that's a great question. What is the sweet spot? What is that amount of acreage? And it's not an easy question to answer because it all depends on what your personal goals are. A lot of people are coming back to the land, and they're not interested in getting anywhere close to the scale that we are, and that's fine. I don't expect people to. But the management, what I go through here on, when we post videos, all these techniques and different things that I'm showing you, the ground litter, the manure consistency, the condition on the cattle, how to pick out good livestock, how to look at your grass, how to select for docility. You want animals that love you. And, animals that do well 100% on grass, kind of like that calf is doing. He's getting some milk along with the grass. That's the beautiful thing about this whole thing that we're talking about, this regenerative agriculture thing. It's all dependent on your management. And there's a lot of people that want a formula. They want something that they can plug into a calendar and then go out there each day, and they can do that exact same thing every day, and everything turns out. Folks, it doesn't work like that. And the reason it doesn't is because we're managing in chaos with nature. It's always changing. It's never the same. And so it teaches you to be on your feet and observe what's going on around you. And this morning's a perfect example. I mean, we had it on our grazing chart that we were going to move west today. I came up here and saw the cattle laying by that gate, and I'm like, no, we're going to come back east just for half a day to mow a landowner's yard that needed to be mowed right here, because we weren't going to be back here for another 2.5 weeks. And that time it'd be too tall. You goofy little heifer. Well, she is a tame little thing. Yeah, does that knee feel good? Rub it on your eye? Yeah. But so what is the ultimate size? If you just want to raise a couple beeves for your own family, maybe sell one to your neighbors and you put the other one in the freezer. Well, then if you're only talking about a couple steers, you could probably get by on, let's say, probably to do a good rotation. And that's what I'm always thinking about. And it depends where you live. So it's really hard to answer that. But let's just use this term here in the Midwest, where we're getting 35 to 40 inches of rain a year. This year we're going to surpass that, it looks like, because we got 17.5 inches last week. But anyway, if you get an adequate rainfall and you're in that 30-inch rainfall area, you can probably stock somewhere around, depending how big a cattle you put on there. That's another scenario that goes in there. So there's so many unknowns, but general rule of thumb here, let's just say you're running 1,000-pound, your goal would be 1,000-pound finished beef. So let's just say you started with 450-pound steers. It takes 2 steers, 450-pounders, to equal what one 1,000-pound cow will eat, or a 900-pound cow if you want to be exact. So for a lot of people starting out, I think that steers, that's a good option if you want to kind of learn your cattle husbandry and get better at, rotating animals, being comfortable with how big an area you're giving them, and you know, stuff like that. Boy, that's a pretty little bull. Man, he's following that cows around. Anyway, there's a really nice steer too. Wow. He's getting there. He's still got another month or so to go to get fat enough. But so if you're going to raise steers, you know, and you had, let's say, you need to build in, you know, in the springtime, a 25-day rotation here in the Midwest. And then when you get into June, it ought to be more like 35, maybe 40 days, assuming you're getting rain. And then you hit July, August, we call that the summer slump. You need to have enough rest or recovery time on your farm, maybe to build that up to 60 days. Hey, guy. Yeah, you're a pretty little bull, too. So anyway, if you need to sit down and just calculate out, you know, that maximum time recovery. And if it's going to be, you know, 60 days, well then, and you're moving your animals, just say once a day, that means you got to have 60 moves out there before you get back to where you started. That would be a worst case scenario. No rain, the grass isn't growing back very quickly, and you know, you're in that July, August, the heat, you got the heat, and very little grass growth. And that's where it gets a lot of people. People stock their farms where they're just about right for the spring, and then you hit summer and they're like, well, Greg, I ran out of grass. Well, you had too many animals. So you've got to stock your farm appropriately for the worst time of the year. When is that? Well, it's the summer slump. So if you always stock your farm like you're in the summer slump, you're going to probably have more grass than you need in the spring, but it's better to have a little bit too much grass than to not have enough. And one of the things that I want to cover, and I'm not going to mention any names, but there's a lot of people out there that are following some stuff on YouTube that's showing, you know, this, I call it basically nuke it grazing, where you're taking it down to the dirt. You're grazing your grass down to the dirt. And folks, that's fine as long as you can irrigate. But if you can't irrigate, I've already talked to several people that pretty much went broke following that advice. Don't do it. Take the top third and move them. The top third of the plants and move them. I saw a guy, he posted on the regenerative thing the other day, and he's doing a good job. He trampled some of the grass on the ground and taken about a third of the top off and left. He didn't know how he's doing, a newbie. He wasn't very experienced, and he got several replies saying, well, you wasted it. You should have taken it off. Take it all down to the ground. It'll grow back better. It's like, yeah, it will if you get a rain, or if you got the ability to put a bunch of water on it. But if you don't, and you continue to do that, folks, you will go broke. You have to sell your animals or feed a ton of hay. Now, you're feeding hay in the summertime, you might as well sell your animals, because you're going to end up with more hay in them than what they're worth. You don't want to do that. It's a very, very poor practice. But just be careful. This I call nuke grazing, where you're taking it all and beating it in the ground. And here's why they say it works. And what comes back, when you take it all, what comes back is very vegetative. The problem is, when you do that in July, let's say July, August, September, and you're in an area where you're not getting the rainfall back, you can't guarantee you're going to get a rain, you're done. You're absolutely done. Don't put yourself in that situation. Well, I'm going to jump off that soapbox and get back on the size of the farm. So for, let's just say 2 steers, you know, you'd probably be fine if you had, let's say, 5 acres, and you had some polywire, and you had a perimeter fence and a water point or 2, even a garden hose, or buy you some high-density polyethylene, 3/4 inch, and run that out across your pasture. Put some quick couplers on there. I've got tons of videos showing how to do that. Folks, you've got to get some water out there. And I had a guy mentioned on one of the comments, he said, well, I'd made the comment that one of the strongest tools in your toolbox is to combine your animals, not have 2 herds. And he went through the math, and he says, well, I just can't figure that out. It doesn't make any sense. Well, when you have 2 groups of animals rotating around your farm at exactly the same time, you got half the recovery period. Half. When you combine those two groups together, you cut your workload in half. Now you've only got one group to move. You increase the horsepower engine on your grazing machine. You got a bigger herd, more trampling, more manure, more urine. And there's more economic return per hour spent. And the animals aren't on that other piece of ground. So if you get into summer and it gets dry, you put those animals into one herd, you will always have more forage. If you have two groups of animals rotating around your farm, and I think you used the example, well, there's no difference. I can just, use the other group of animals, make 80 paddocks, and I'll get the same recovery. No, it doesn't work like that. Trust me, one herd. I used to have 3, I almost went broke. Don't do that. One herd in the summertime, any way you can do it, just do it. That's why we put all the bulls in here. Put all the bulls in here so we don't have another herd grazing around our farm in the summertime when the grass isn't growing very quickly. So you want to get that done. I'm going to have to do a chart and actually physically draw it out so people can see it in their mind what I'm talking about, because it's huge, folks. I mean, you go to any holistic management class, some of the ones I've been to, that's one of the principles they teach is, limit the number of herds you have. It will absolutely kill you. And especially if you got small acreage, you can't have two herds grazing around that. If you do, you're going to go broke. You'll run out of grass. You may not go broke, but you'll run out of grass. And then you got to buy hay. And it's no fun. It's just no fun at all buying hay when you got animals that can feed themselves out here. I'm telling you what, that is one active bull. He has been following that heifer around for the last, well, I've been here almost 2 hours, and he's never stopped. He's a persistent dude. That's what you like. You like bulls that take their work seriously, and get the job done. But anyway, that's kind of the quest of it is, if you're going to be running, more animals, you got to stock appropriately. And a good place to start is look at your rainfall. Maybe go by and see your NRCS office, Natural Resource Conservation Service. There's a grazing specialist in there, and they can tell you what the county-wide stocking rate is for that area. And that gives you a good place to start. And I can tell you this, the more days of the year that you can combine your animals into one large herd and rotate them frequently, whether that's once a day, twice a day, or every other day, make it compatible with your work schedule, you are going to grow more grass, you're going to be able to run more animals, you're going to put down more manure and more trampling, and you're going to make more money. And I said that terrible M word. I mean, everybody, oh, money, money, money. And people, is that all you think about? No. But if you don't make money on your farm each year, you're not going to be able to stay there. Especially if you have a bank loan. The bank's going to come in and take your loan and sell it to somebody else. And that's because you're in the red every year. You've got to have your farm in the black. And this tax thing, everybody, oh, we agree, you got to pay taxes now. Well, what's wrong with that? If you pay taxes every year, it means that you're making money. If you're not paying taxes every year, it means you're losing money. That's nothing to hang your hat on. Okay? So just get over it. You gotta make money on your farm, and money is not a cuss word. It's something that is absolutely essential if you're gonna stay and do right with the animals, the land, and your livelihood in your community. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off of here. And I was gonna also mention, we've got quite a few people now that are coming after the 814 semen, and we're going to get him collected again, so we've got some more. But check out our grass genetic bull semen there on our website, greenpasturesfarm.net, and that's that macho bull 814. He's the best bull we've ever raised, and you can get his genetics into your herd for $35 a straw. I mean, come on. That bull, you can't buy him. I mean, he's not for sale, first of all, but if you could, he'd be very pricey. You can put the best genetics, probably, I'm going to say, in the Midwest, into your herd for a reasonable amount. And I think if I was starting out, I wouldn't be going out and spending that. First of all, I wouldn't have the money to buy him, but even if I did, it doesn't make sense if you only got 15 or 20 cows to do that. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here and hit that subscribe button on the way out, and we're going to see you all down the road next time.